So a pro-gun bill has been introduced into the House, and this one seeks to remove the any other weapon or the AOW language from the NFA, and it seeks to prevent the ATF from ever regulating these firearms ever again. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the NFA needs to be repealed, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. So like I said in the intro, Representative Chip Roy out of Texas, along with 20 other members of the House, have introduced a bill which seeks to delete the any other weapon language or the AOW language from the NFA. This bill seeks to also prevent, therefore, the ATF from ever regulating these firearms ever again. The bill that was introduced is called the No Backdoor Gun Control Act. This legislation would remove any other weapon or AOW from the definition of a firearm under the NFA or the National Firearms Act. And this is ensuring that the ATF could not use the AOW section to violate American Second Amendment rights anymore. Representative Chip Roy says this is especially important should legislation that removes the short-barreled rifle or the short-barreled shotgun, SBRs and SBS language be removed from the NFA. He is mentioning this especially because there are two other bills which have also been introduced. One seeks to remove SBRs from the definition of firearms as regulated under the NFA, and the other seeks to do the same, but simply for short-barreled shotguns. Whether or not those two bills will actually get passed is unknown and probably is unlikely at this point, especially with the looming midterms. Maybe some of that will change. Maybe there is a potential for a shift in the House and Senate. But as of right now, those two bills have been introduced, and this bill seeks to also address something that those two other bills did not address. One thing those two bills did not address was the AOW aspect of the NFA. If the SBR and SBS provisions were removed, the ATF could still go after various things as AOWs. So this bill seeks to also remove that catch-all AOW language from the NFA. Now you may be asking yourself at this point, what is an AOW? Well, the term any other weapon, as defined, means any weapon or device capable of being concealed on the person from which a shot can be discharged through the energy of an explosion. What does that mean? Well, that would include weird gadget guns like belt guns, pocket gun, umbrella guns, really those weird concealable firearms. The definition then says a pistol or revolver having a barrel with a smooth bore designed or redesigned to fire a fixed shotgun shell. That means pistols that have a smooth bore and which can shoot a shotgun shell. This does not include things like a Taurus Judge or the Smith & Wesson Governor, because those handguns actually have rifled barrels, although they do shoot shotgun shells, so they're a little bit different. To be an AOW, they would need to actually have a smooth bore. The definition then says weapons with combination shotgun and rifle barrels 12 inches or more, less than 18 inches in length, from which only a single discharge can be made from either barrel without manual reloading, and shall include any such weapon which may be readily restored to fire. This is referencing weird firearms that shoot both rifle and shotgun cartridges and which have specific lengths. The definition concludes by saying AOWs shall not include a pistol or revolver having a rifled bore or rifled bores, or weapons designed, made, or intended to be fired from the shoulder and not capable of firing fixed ammunition. One of the more notable ways that a firearm can actually become an AOW is when you add a vertical foregrip to a pistol or something that is considered to be a pistol. This is because a pistol is designed to be held with one hand, and adding a vertical foregrip makes it so that it is intended to actually be held with two hands, and therefore makes it an AOW. So that is the language that this bill seeks to remove from the NFA and remove the ATF's powers to regulate those types of firearms. Representative Chip Roy stated that closing this loophole is an important step forward in reining in the ATF. He also stated, bearing arms in self-defense is a human right. It is evident from the ATF's behavior that under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the agency is hell-bent on attacking the Second Amendment through every means at its disposal. I'm grateful for my colleagues' work in Congress to remove short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns from the regulation under the National Firearms Act. However, should that legislation be successful in doing so, the NFA's any other weapon provision would still allow an anti-gun administration to use the ATF to unilaterally regulate these firearms, and more importantly, target their owners. This bill is also supported by GOA, and that is a strong indicator of how pro-2A this bill is. GOA's Director of Federal Affairs stated, the federal government has no business taxing and registering privately owned firearms with a catch-all term like any other weapon, or AOW. With the Biden administration weaponizing definitions from the draconian National Firearms Act to ban as many as 40 million lawfully acquired guns like AR-15s, Representative Chip Roy's repeal of the federal AOW regulations could not come at a better time. So generally, the No Backdoor Gun Control Act seeks to first, remove AOWs from the definition of a firearm under the NFA. Second, to ensure that AOW owners are treated as having met requirements of state licensing laws that reference the NFA. And third, require the DOJ to destroy AOW registration records. So any records they have on AOWs, those that are registered with the federal government, all that information will need to be destroyed if this bill passes. This bill was co-sponsored by a variety of individuals. I'm probably going to butcher some of their names, but a lot of you guys asked me who co-sponsors some of these good bills. So this is Daniel Webster out of Florida, Lauren Boebert out of Colorado, Tom Tiffany out of Wisconsin, Louis Gohmert out of Texas, Ted Budd out of North Carolina, Dan Crenshaw out of Texas, Marjorie Taylor Greene out of Georgia, Ken Buck out of Colorado, Michael Cloud out of Texas, Matt Rosendale out of Montana, Jody Heiss out of Georgia, Ralph Norman out of South Carolina, Scott Perry out of Pennsylvania, Alex Mooney out of West Virginia, Randy Weber out of Texas, Diana Harshberger out of Tennessee, Jeff Duncan out of South Carolina, Bob Good out of Virginia, Jeff Van Drew out of New Jersey, Thomas Massey out of Kentucky, Michelle Fishbach out of Minnesota, and Mary Miller out of Illinois. This is an interesting bill, and I always appreciate when representatives introduce bills like this to do with various NFA restrictions and various ATF overreach actions that they engage in. Whether or not this bill actually gets any traction is unlikely at this point, but with the coming midterms, there is potential for a drastic change in Congress, which could lead to a more positive pro-2A lean in both the House and the Senate, and therefore make the chances of this type of bill actually getting passed and gaining a lot of traction. So if you support this bill and others like it, I highly recommend you reach out to your local representatives and let them know that you agree that the NFA's actions and language is actually a violation of our Second Amendment rights, and that things like this, bills like this, should actually be passed to get rid of the NFA and its various provisions and various ATF overreach actions that they engage in. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. If you don't have a comment in mind, just comment down below that you comment to fuel the algorithm, and that really does help the channel. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars. This nation was maintained by armed scholars.